Of course it hurts. We get upset. But it doesn't take long. You don't let it take inside you. When I say, come in the ear, go out the other, it's because it won't be long. I am not minimizing the unpleasant effect that people have on us when they offend us. I'm just saying that when we know it has no connection with our truth, we let it pass. We do not feed back. Why? What does it hurt us so much in behavior? And often we adopt highly destructive behaviors for that. I listen, listen, rest, and stay in that cycle. Then I keep doing that vicious cycle. So the person writes something very unpleasant to me in the comments, Sue. If I know this is offending me, I pay attention. Why are you offending me? Do you have any alignment with my truth? Yes. It's okay. Let me pay attention to this that the person is saying. Maybe this offense may even help me identify in my behavior and make a modification. Positively change something that can get better in me. Because of criticism that come from outside. Guys, when we want to grow, even the criticism of those who don't love us helps us. Write this in your heart, your understanding. When you want to grow, even the criticism of those who don't love you will help you grow. Everything can be transformed into instrumental transformation. What is cool? Enter one ear and go out on the other. While passing hurts, while you read it hurts. But you don't let it take. So that's what I was talking about. I have a horror of simplifying what to the other is important. So I don't want it all with my way of thinking. Making you believe that what offends you is not important. No. And yes, but I wanted you to pay more attention to what you really offend you. If you are offending you, you may have some reason. Now, if it is slander, if you have no connection to the truth, if you are completely misleading with what you know of you, enter one ear and go out for another. And it does not take long. It cannot be long because it is an exercise in self-love. It is difficult and is very difficult. Even today, in some answers that I gave, I said, look, it is an extremely painful process because it requires a lot of spiritual maturity. You come to the conclusion. The other is offending me because he is right. And I don't like to recognize myself like that, but he's right. When the other calls me selfish, when the other calls me possessive, when the other calls me envious, when the other calls me vain, somehow, what the other is telling us concerns what the other realizes in us in. It concerns our personal truth. So it causes suffering. We suffer. But it shouldn't. Should not suffer. We should not suffer. We should interpret that warning as an opportunity to get out of it. Because many, or rather, sometimes it is even good to suffer. Yes. Sometimes it is even good to suffer. We should not suffer is when what the other is saying is just a projection of oneself. He is projecting himself to me. And we should have this emotional and spiritual maturity that would put us in this stance of thinking, no, the other does not have no reason for what you are saying. So come in here, go out here. I say again, if in the process of passing by and out here, it hurts a little, we are human. Words bleed with the same intensity as a dagger can bleed a body. Bleed our sensitivities. So it is no problem you realize that it bled. That it hurt to hear what you heard. That it hurt to read what you read. Only do the exercise of rationalizing this. What the other wrote is not his truth. What the other said is not your truth. So if the other is saying, if the other is writing, it is an impression that he has and should not bother you so much, because you know that your truth belongs to you. And you are already properly clarified that what he is scolando you do not correspond to what you know. Ultimately, my people are worth that rule. The others imagine us. We know who we are. And in between keeping what the other thinks and God knows among what God knows about us, I have no doubt that it is much more worth keeping with what God knows of each of us. Therefore, we keep our perseverance, keep our attention, keep our attention-sensitivity to separate offenses from slander. Offenses are often associated with a truth that we do not want to recognize. Slander are situations that others invented for us, and therefore, because they have no connection with the truth, they will only bother us during the process of passing, between entering here and going out here. If it offered, it hurt. Pay attention. Maybe the other is giving you a happy opportunity for you to correct in you what you arrived in a way you would not choose. It was being offended that you felt the encounter with the truth was painful. It was unpleasant. But it was also a happy opportunity you had to move forward, to evolve it. I say again, the great desire of each of us, the great commitment of each of us should always be evolution. We want to reach the best version that is at our disposal. For this, we are religious. I'm a very happy Catholic Christian within my concept of faith. Christianity made sense to me. I don't know what your religion is, but I know your religion has instrumental to help you reach the best of yourself. The best of yourself? The best of yourself. It is what God wants from us. Whatever religion, what we need to understand is that it will need to be a place for us, an opportunity to reach the best of us. I, as a Christian, say all the encounters of Jesus were like this. They were to promote the best of the people he found. So even if you arrive through an offense, pay attention. Before you get angry, before refusing, pay attention. Sometimes the one who offends us is doing us a favor in putting us in the face of a truth that we may have denied. Now, if the other slaughtered passed here, came out here and only hurt the time that stayed, because you are smart, you are wise. You are wise and intelligent, and will not be a point of staying. It is Jesus who said that, and I said that very compromisingly, right? Look, everything you do to one of these minors, everything you do to one of these little ones, is me that you will be doing. Everything you do good in this world, all the love you have to these people who need to be loved. Be aware that you will be loving me too. It is this direct identification. The parable of the Samaritan beautifully shows us this interference from God in history through human gestures. The Samaritan, that man who welcomes inside the pension, who brings into the pension that man and asks the owner of the pension to take care of the one who was sick. Because the handsome thing is that the charity is both in the Samaritan that leads to the pension, as in the owner of the pension, because the amount that the Samaritan left there to taking care of the sick man gave nothing. Then he had the gesture of solidarity to remove the patient from the street and put inside the pension. But the true charity who did it was the owner of the pension. Sometimes we don't think about it, right? Which is an anonymous of history. I discovered this through a teacher who was giving a talk and said that the amount he speaks now, do not remember how many denaries. The amount that the Samaritan left to be used was nothing close to what that patient needed. So, this is interesting that the owner of the pension is the man of mercy. He is the anonymous of history. And it is very beautiful, very interesting, my people. We find that our faith in God, it spends all the time for the love we have to humanity. Passion for God, passion for humanity, love to God, love of humanity. We cannot escape this social unfolding of the gospel. We have no way of living a only spiritual religion. It is not good. My spirituality needs to be fruitful. We need to be mystique, men and women. This is inevitable. We need to be men and women of prayer. We need to be sacrament men and women in this dimension all the time. We cannot detach ourselves from mystical motives of our action. But we must not forget that this action is important either. The action without prayer becomes sociology, right? But prayer without action becomes alienation. And the church teaches us that neither lonely ways is healthy. We need to live this beautiful junction. For a long time in church, we had mistakes, right? Liberation theology in many, I do not say all over, but in many segments, it was terribly made out. In many places, she made a mistake because she summed up evangelical action to a social action, forgot the mystical dimension. On the other hand, charismatic renewal in many places, in many segments, also forgot the social dimension. It only became spirituality. But what about social action and the love of neighbor? We pray, 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 but go out there and mistreat the person outside. How can we understand that God has happened in our lives if I am not able to treat the smallest of my brothers yet? Is not true. So we need to be careful. Elsewhere, I return to liberation theology. In many places, we had a beautiful social action, politicized men and women in the name of the gospel, but without any love for Jesus. So that's not what the church wants. The church needs this balance. I find it interesting, when we realize that time itself takes care of adjusting these things. I keep seeing in so many places, charismatic renewal discovered this imbalance and created institutions, created wonderful welfare works, did a job, then it's interesting. It is interesting to seek to understand that this love of God is also love for humanity, and that I cannot unbalance. The sky is for the one who balances. This is interesting. This is a matter of maturity. As we live, we will discover our imbalances. I look at the past, for example, and I see how many times my religion was just spirituality. How long have I been insensitive to social issues? Often. Today I feel, thank God, I feel my heart much more moved to seek this balance. One must be a man of prayer, but one must also be a man of action. Then we are doing the partnerships we can, right? We know that there is a wonderful social work there, which is doing a social work, but is also looking for mystical. Then we go there and establish partnership. This is the volunteer work we all need to have, people. It is amazing how much volunteer work occupies our minds to the point of making us forget about the problems we have. And when we forget the problem we have, it seems that it solves, right? It is God acting in our lives. I particularly think my people who are missing for us often occupy our heads with something. There are so many works through our cities, private initiatives that need voluntary actions. Well, volunteer work is of impressive beauty because it does a damn good to those who receive, but also do to those who perform. You take time out of your life, your day, suddenly 2-3 days a week. I have my friend Judite there in Taubaté. She does a beautiful job there at the regional hospital. Makes the visit to the people who have cancer, make a coffee for these people. Sometimes there are patients there that has no visits. It is the only opportunity that suddenly has to talk a little with a different person who is out there in the context of the hospital. And this volunteer work is a beautiful social unfolding of our love for Jesus. So, because I love God, I will get those who need him. Fina there in Formiga, who does a beautiful job also there at São Luís Hospital, also providing a coffee to the sick. Francois also there from Formiga, who is always with the Finn, helping in these initiatives. Anyway, there are many things. Throughout Brazil, there are many little things that we can do, and that do too good to the hearts of the people who receive. And then you will also forget a little of your problems. What a head that is busy. The devil has no time, right? And many times, what is missing in our lives is to occupy our hearts and our mind as well. Thank you for joining us today at Path of Faith. Your engagement means the world to us. So please take a moment to leave your comments, like this video, share it with friends and family, and subscribe for more enriching content.